Meeting to order, if you would stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. One nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and before we do the roll call, I want to introduce everyone to our new Director of Finance, who's sitting right there. And your names are all in front of you, so he can figure out who you are. But this is his second day, and he's doing a great job, and we're really happy to have him. So welcome, John. Great. Okay. All right, we can do the roll call.
Baker.
Here.
Kuhn. Dryden.
Here.
Hedrick.
Here.
Hines. Mitchell.
Here.
Sassy.
Here.
Thompson. Ambulance. Finance. Police. Public Works.
All right, could I get a motion to approve the minutes of the January 21st, 2025 regular council meeting? Thank you, Clyde. A second. All right, Kevin. All in favor of approving the minutes of the January 21st, 2025 regular council meeting, say aye. Okay, anybody abstaining? No. Okay, old business. We have the ordinance committee report. Sorry, Betsy, I got you doing three things at once.
So the ordinance committee met on Monday, January 27th, 2025 at 4 o'clock. Present Mayor Diane, Betsy Hedrick, and Clyde Mitchell. Brendan Heidner was there from the Ranger Review. The first and only agenda item was the ordinance book updates. Mayor Diane reported that she has completed work with the codifiers and the city attorney on updates to the current ordinance book. The codifiers identified areas in the existing code that are outdated, contain inconsistent terminology, or need to be updated to align with state or federal regulations. Mayor Diane plans to contact MMIA to see if they have any concerns regarding these updates. Additionally, she will reach out to mayors across the state to gather examples of urban camping ordinances. The ordinance changes will follow the standard procedure, including setting ordinance by resolution, providing proper notice, and conducting required readings by Montana law. The action continue the process of updating our current ordinances. We adjourned at 4:33. There was no public comment submitted by myself.
Thank you, Betsy. Did anyone have any questions about Betsy's report? You do?
Yes. Not really a question, Mayor, but thank you. I just want to say thanks, Betsy, for sending the information out and giving us a chance to look it over. So thanks.
All right. How about the personnel committee report, Clyde?
Personnel met January 27th at 4:33, and same people were present. Item number 1 was review and approve pool manager job description, and the committee recommends approving the pool manager job description. Item 2 was a firefighter resigned, and FYI, the position has been posted internally per the union contract, and we interviewed the gentleman today. Public comment was asked for, and even though it doesn't say anything, none was given. We adjourned at 4:40.
All right, thank you.
Virus, we didn't get it right.
And we had no one sign up for public comment, but is there any public comment at this time? No. All right, we'll move on to new business. The first item is to approve the swimming pool manager job description, which is in your packet on about page 4 or so. Okay. And a second to approve the swimming pool manager job description. Okay, Mike. All right. So are there any questions or concerns about the job description or the duties that are identified? Yes.
Just a Mayor. Excuse me, Mayor. Just a question, Mayor. Who is the direct supervisor of the public works? Would be the pool manager's supervisor?
If you turn to page about 4, you'll see the actual job description, I think, or maybe you've gone too far, Mike.
Oh, Yeah, okay.
But yes, they report to the Director of Public Works.
Okay.
Other questions or concerns about it?
I suppose if they had questions, they could also refer to, human relations, you know, because basically it's all about personnel, their skills and stuff in that
Mhm.
area, but I mean, not with the manager, with the whole department, they're the
Right.
pool, I guess, and but dealing with a lot of younger people, there may be some
Well,
situations that come up.
I did try to put some of that in there, that they're going to encounter problems and questions and concerns from the general public and people who may be dissatisfied with the rules. So, that's kind of a maturity thing anyway, but we will post this job if, once we approve it, we will post it with the job service. So. All right, any other questions about it? Okay, all in favor of approving the swimming pool manager job description, say aye. Okay. All right, now the next one is to get a motion to approve the yes and no answers to codifiers' requests for text of MCA codes to be included in our codes. So can I get a motion? Rhett, okay, in a second. Okay, Mike? Any questions about what we're gonna do right here? All right.
I do, Mayor, just,
Okay. I
do we
thought
go
you-
through each one of these individually then? Or-
Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through all of these things that they start with comments, formatting, usage, and general matters. So it's the next few pages. If you look, there's a lot of yeses and a few no's. So most of this stuff, we will approve. There's a couple things that I'm going to ask that we say no to. One of the first things is number 9 on the first page of the editorial. We better go back to number 12, and these pages are not numbered. Dang it. So the top of it says comment, formatting, usage, in general matters. So number 12 at the end, it says the amount shall be set by the city from time to time. And I'm asking them to say fees set by resolution. That is what we do with all of our ordinances. So this is not something that will require us to make a big change, because we're just saying we're going to continue to say that fees are set by resolution, and we'll change them from time to time. Frank brings that information forward to us. So I didn't think that was anything that was a big change. Then on number 13A, there's finance clerk / treasurer or finance clerk - treasurer. I said use finance clerk - treasurer because that's the most common one throughout the document. Then the next one is B, where it says Title III uses the term alderman and council members. Are these the same position, and should the terms be consistent? And I said, yes, it's the same position. Please use city council member and eliminate the alderman. Now on the next page down to number 9, they're asking in the last sentence, should an acknowledgement page be added to the code? If so, please provide a list of city officials. And I'm saying no, because we change. There'll be a new mayor next year. There'll be new council members, and then we will have to pay to have that updated. So I think we can put the positions, but we don't have to identify who specifically is in those positions right now. And if anybody has an objection to any of these, please speak up, because we've got about 4 pages to go through. The next page is, should be chapter 30, mayor and city council, but this chapter references alderman. So I said again, please use city council member. Chapter 35, they have a note to add a fire manager. And I did replace this in some areas, but we have now eliminated the fire manager, so I'm asking them to eliminate it in all references. And then payment of charges. So this is when someone's water account is terminated. The customer must be notified, but they also must be notified of a procedure for challenging a disputed bill. Our section did not meet those standards because there was no mention of procedures in place for the customer to challenge or appeal. So I said, yes, add the appeal process. Number 18, that was just a mistake that I made when I was putting little sticky tabs on there. And one of the things that it said with the buildings was that they could have no runoff that would run into other people's property. But what I had made a note of was that I thought that this was something that we could use in one of our legal cases because it was part of our, so I'm just saying ignore the no runoff. I didn't want him to change it. I didn't want him to do anything with it, but it was just a personal note that I had. Number 19, this one refers to MCA codes that have been repealed. So I said, yes, remove the things that have been repealed. Number 20, they're asking that we use the codified location 42 USC chapter 82, which is a Solid Waste Disposal Act. And I said, yes, to include that. The next one is the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act. They're asking that we include its codified location in the US code. And I said, yes. The next one is the Clean Air Act. They're wanting to include its codified location in the US code. I said, yes. The next one references the Toxic Substance Control Act. They suggest including its codified location in the US code. I said, yes. E is the Marine Protection Research and Sanctuaries Act. So they wanted that US code in there. I said, yes. The next one is Chapter 73 trains. They asked if that section is still relevant. I said, yes, it controls the speed that trains can travel when they're in the city limits. They have to slow down a little bit. And then the next one was the fire official. I just had him remove the fire official reference. And then we had a section in the police code called animal. Well, it wasn't called animals, but it was we removed the references to motor vehicles because this was where the and I can look it up in the new code, but this is where we had changed our ordinance because it said that no animals could be in parks, and also no motorcycles, no motorized vehicles, no bicycles, and no wagons. I felt that we should be able to have wagons and bicycles, and animals needed to be on a leash. So I changed that, and they have that information. So I removed the motor vehicles because I didn't think that was necessary. Anyway, now we're going to get to chapter 20, well, number 24, chapter 3, solicitors. The ordinance committee did look at this. I did include in your packet our ordinance on solicitors, which says current code. But this ordinance, which is on the next page, as you can see, is a lot longer. It has more definitions. It has the application procedures, the standards. So I felt that after the ordinance committee looked at it. They decided that we should go with the one that the codifiers is recommending. So this will be an ordinance change, and this will be one that we'll have a first and second reading on because it is a big change. The next one is public drinking. The definition of beer did not match the definition in the MCA, so I said yes. Change the definition to match the statute. And then the next one, curfew for minors, they have a much more in-depth recommendation for this one. So I feel that we do need to make that change that the codifiers are recommending, and that's a major change. So again, the solicitors and the curfew ordinances will have a first and second reading because they change a lot. So there was a section on number 27, which has been repealed. So I just said to remove the repealed statute. Number 28 references the street commissioner, but we don't have one. So I just said use public works director. The following one is asking that we add the codified US code when we're referencing the Occupational Safety and Health Act. And then the next one's the National Stream and Land Preservation Act. They want to, again, add the MCA code to that one. And then the state floodplain and floodway management, they want to include the MCA Title 76, Chapter 5. They want to include the actual code in there, and I said yes. The next is the State Dam Safety Act, and they want to use the MCA Title 85. So I said yes, put that in there. And then the next one is the Federal Manufactured Housing Construction Act. They want the US code for that in there. I said yes. The Safety Standard Act, they want the US code in that. I said yes. The reference to MCA Title 53, Chapter 4 has been renumbered, so they want to use the new number. So I said yes. 33 is the marijuana dispensary, and they want to include the codified location of MCA 1612-102. I said yes to that. And then on the back of that page is the thing that they identified that we did not have a policy for when someone was disconnected. So number C, when it becomes necessary for the city to discontinue utility service for a customer for non-payment of bills, service will be reinstated only after all bills for service then due have been paid along with a turn-on charge. And then it ends right there because they had included a fee, but that is not the fee we charge. And sometimes the fee changes, so I thought we could just end it right there. And then the next 2 pages are our current curfew code. And then the following 3 pages are the update of the curfew code. And then the next page is our current solicitor's code, which is a little over a page long. And then I'm recommending that we adopt their peddlers, itinerant merchants, and solicitors. And that's about 5 pages long. So I'm recommending that we do a first and second reading with that. And then we have public amusements, which is 3.2-1, coin-operated amusement games. Every keeper of a pool table, billiard table, bowling alley, or coin-operated amusement game shall pay a license fee. We have not collected this for as long as I know. And the second thing is circuses and sideshows need to, submit a cleanup bond. You know, but I've been around for a long time and I haven't seen a circus or an elephant come through town and leave a large lingering pile of anything. So I thought this entire public amusement is maybe a thing of the past. And I just recommend that we eliminate it, and that is what the codifiers recommend. So if we, you know, somehow circuses and elephants come back, we could always draft a new ordinance. I think I might know where I could find one. So anyway, those are my suggestions. So I guess for a motion, what I'm just asking you to approve are those yes and no answers that do not really change the code, but just clarify it. So we already got a first and a second. So are there any more questions about these particular yes and no answers to the codifiers? Yes.
Yeah, yeah, sorry, Mayor, maybe I was supposed to stop you as we went through, I guess. On the fire manager, my knowledge, we just created that in the recent past, and Todd Opp was the only fire manager now. There could have been something in the past where it was there in our codes and we didn't have something in that. So I guess what I'm getting at is then with this change here where, I mean, even though we didn't replace Mr. Opp, so does that eliminate that position for the time being? I'm not sure why that position's even in. These are the codes, right?
Yeah, they're in this book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, yeah, I'm not sure why. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily have to have the fire manager in the codes to have the fire manager position, would you? Or do you?
Well, when I first started working on these ordinances, Mike, it was almost a year ago, and we had no reference to the fire manager. So when I first sent this over, which is what they're asking on number 16, the notes we received adding the position of fire manager were somewhat confusing. So when I asked for a fire manager, we had one, and I thought it should be in the code. But then as this has gone along and I'm not sure that we're going to go to that style of management with the fire department because we do have a fire chief and an assistant fire chief. So I just asked them to eliminate the term fire manager in all references because I had sent it over with fire manager written all over the place. So that's what I'm asking for. I don't know exactly how we will arrange the fire department right now, but I don't think that we're going to go back to a fire manager style of
Okay.
management. We're not going to hire anyone right now for the rest of the fiscal year.
If we did that, do we then have to change the ordinance? We couldn't have a fire manager without.
Well, it
putting-
wasn't in the ordinance. I asked
You're
them to
right,
put
right.
it
But I
in.
mean, in the future, to do everything
Oh,
proper, that would be, that's what I'm just getting at. If we, we're taking this out, okay, but then 6 months, a year from now, they say, well, let's go back to the fire manager position we had, then we do go back into the ordinance.
well,
To
here's
change
the
it?
thing. The fire manager was never in our ordinance.
Okay,
Okay, so I asked them initially to put it in,
right.
but then this has been a long process, and so we don't have a fire manager anymore. So what I just said was, forget what I said about the fire manager.
Okay.
Don't put it in because we don't have one right now. So the fire manager was not included in our.
But we had the position, so that could happen again if that's what, okay, the next one, I sorry.
No, it's okay.
On the trains, I could be wrong, but they've changed where the guys get on the train, the girls get on the train to work and where they get off. And I mean, you practically have to be not alive to have not noticed that the trains many times come through Glendive a lot faster than they ever did.
Mhm.
Now, it may not be too fast. I'm not complaining or anything. I've been in Weebo. My off that cuff remark would be they're about the same speed they go through Weebo and Glendive. Not all the time. Sometimes they do stop here. But anyway, since we do have something in the city code, I was just wondering. I don't know that we would have any say of what they do anyway, but
Well, we have an ordinance on it that limits the speed that they
Okay.
can go through town. So they just asked me if that was still relevant. That's really the only thing we say. Now, I recall many years ago when they put those crossing arms like by the On the Run gas station. If you
Right.
know what I'm talking about,
yes,
that we asked them to stop blowing their whistle there at
Right.
night, right? Well,
Pretty
I
much all
sleep
day.
with my window open. I hear them blowing it all the time. I mean, and I'm pretty sure it's because they're coming to that. And I'm sure they're trained to do it, you know, that you
Yeah.
have to blow your whistle whenever you're coming to one of those crossways. But
yeah, we specifically as a city followed the rules on that to eliminate them having to use the horn. But I think since they've changed their work locations,
mhm,
in other words, the train may not stop in Glendive, maybe the crew, whoever's coming from Dickinson,
yeah, I
maybe they go
don't,
all the way to Forsyth. But
right.
the point is, they don't slow down like they used to. Again,
Mhm.
it may be fine. I'm just saying if it is in our code,
Well, I'm just
but they could be
asking
going
them to leave
45
it.
and I have no idea what the code says. So.
Right. And we wouldn't, how would we know what speed we are unless we
Right.
sat there with the radar
Right.
gun, you know? But I'm just saying to still leave it in there because I feel that
Okay.
personally, I feel that it's important that they slow down when they hit town. Now, can I say that they are? I don't know.
Well, nobody ever wants to have this happen, but we know it's happened there elsewhere. When the stuff hits the fan and the train's no longer on the tracks and stuff happens, especially if it's in our community,
Mhm.
that ordinance, and then they will know how fast they were going at that point, and so
They
that
will.
will all come into
Yeah.
play. So, okay, I just, let's see. There was just one more thing. No, go ahead.
I'll give my time to this.
No, go ahead. I'm done. I'm done.
No, I was curious on the animals one. Did that originally say no dogs in city parks?
Yes, it did.
I'm okay with the leash thing, but that's just clarifying that we're gonna change that.
Yes, the dogs have to be on a leash.
Probably, okay.
To me, it was odd that we couldn't have a wagon in the park.
Right.
Unless they're talking about a covered wagon. I mean, I don't know, but
Well, what was that other thing? Velocity. It said-
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like,
yeah,
I don't
or
even know what
you
that
can
was.
ride, yeah, velocipedes or something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But all of that was, I believe, in the police regulations. So it was in a section called animals. And I think we did get it updated, but yeah, it was, kind of odd. Anyway, yes, that was an actual ordinance, and then we've still got plenty of kind of funny ordinances, but I changed it to that, it said, no owner of a dog shall allow a dog to be on any public street, alley, sidewalk, or any public way, or any public place within the city. And then it said, unless they were on a leash or under voice control. And I changed it to that they have to be on a chain or leash. Because I've had animals run at me with their owner yelling at them. And so I don't think that animals, some are very well trained, but most animals, if they see a squirrel or something, you know, they're gonna take off, and it's not gonna matter. So
I think we amended that.
we did amend that one
I
already.
think we got rid of the voice control.
Yep, we did. So those ones are pretty simple changes that didn't really change the meaning or the body of the ordinance. It was adding, the codes and things like that into there.
Just Mayor, just one more question.
Yeah.
On the process here, so then the committee of, the
The ordinance,
ordinance, thank you, will go through the solicitation chapter and that, they'll bring that back.
they
as-
already did that. So they're recommending
Oh.
here that we approve these changes. So they already did that,
Oh,
that
but I
they
mean,
thought it was good, and then I'm bringing it here to us, but since they are big changes, we need to have a first and second reading. So if you guys approve these changes, then I'll write it up, and then we'll have a first and second reading of the curfew for minors ordinance and the solicitor's ordinance.
Okay, so by approving it now, then that starts it to first reading.
Yep.
This won't be first reading.
No, this
Okay,
will,
that's what I was wondering, because it's
Yeah.
not in its finished state here.
no.
And then the other one that we're considering elimination, the public amusement,
Mhm.
that it's called. Then do we vote to, how do you do that? To get rid of it? We just vote to say we don't want it?
Well,
Take it out?
my
Delete it.
understanding was that you could vote to delete that ordinance.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that doesn't take first, second reading because you're just deleting it. So we
Right,
don't
we're not
need it.
proving that
Okay.
we're just acknowledging that we just don't have the elephant population that apparently we once had here. Any other questions or concerns? I know this is a little bit confusing. I'm sure it's not going to be very clear to the folks at home who can't follow along. But
Mayor, when the people ask for permission and they have a public fundraiser, a lot of times we have an open container waiver
mhm,
and that, and then, I mean, the people of this community, by and large, are gonna clean everything up anyway, but,
mhm.
that was part of that amusement thing, was that you had to clean it up, and otherwise we're gonna keep the money from you. But, when they're using public streets and stuff, I get like Epic, that's private property, so I guess that would probably be a deal with Epic between the group that's using it. Like Mr. Stewart's,
Right, but this public
Oktoberfest.
amusement was specifically for circuses and sideshows. It's not for when we have Celebrate Glendive or anything like this.
but we do have, that's kind of what I'm getting at, we do have
That
that
is
where
in a
people do have a
different,
responsibility
yes.
to clean up on
Right.
public
but
streets
it's
and
not
stuff.
part of public amusements.
Right.
Right. I thought it was kind of interesting that the treasurer had to determine if it was cleaned up good enough.
I think we should keep that in.
All
Put a
right.
shovel somewhere here at City Hall.
Well,
The treasurer's
Let's move
office.
on then, and all in favor of approving the yes and no answers to the codifier's request for text of MCA codes to be included in the ordinances, say aye. Okay. All right. Now, we did go over the solicitor's ordinance, but can I get a motion to approve the recommended changes to the solicitor's ordinance? Okay, Kevin and Betsy? All right, so the solicitor's ordinance is in here, and so if you have concerns for it, this is a time to bring them forward before, so I have time to make the changes before the first and second reading. One of the things that I really liked about this ordinance was that you can put a little card on your door that says no solicitors, and people cannot knock on your door. That isn't in our current ordinance. But like I said, this is a lot longer than ours. I mean, there may be things that we could take out, but I don't know. It's pretty thorough, and I'm kind of reluctant to remove anything that I might wish we'd left in there later. So it says that it could be a business carried on by any person who is an itinerant merchant, peddler, or solicitor as defined in here. And they are a little bit different. They do need a license. And then we just get a lot more information than we have in our old ordinance. There's a lot more detail in this. And, you know, there's some investigation about it. So if someone has been convicted of a crime of moral turpitude or has made misstatements, anyway, a lot of these kind of fraudulent acts will be a reason for a disapproval of the application. And we can revoke it if they do something, and they have to identify themselves. And I guess they can appeal if we reject them, but I just felt that this is much more thorough than our very short ordinance. And it does allow us to let people put a little sign on their door, and then these, you cannot knock on the door. So it lets the people decide if they want solicitors coming onto their property. Any questions about the solicitors ordinance? Yes, Mike.
Yeah, Mayor, thanks. Though then, people that are actually trying to sell merchandise, there was a 30 years ago, let's say 40 years ago, might be, let's say they were selling encyclopedias. So they would get a license from the city before they set to work in Glendive as soliciting, in a sense, door to door. Is that how that worked?
Well, when I called the police department about how we had been doing it, you know, they wouldn't always come to City Hall and get their license. They go around to sell their magazines or whatever. And then someone might call the police and say, you know, who is this person, or someone's knocking at my door. Then the police would go, and correct me if I'm wrong, Katie, then the police would go and tell them that they need to come to City Hall and get a license. But now the license requirement is a little bit more intense. I mean, there's a lot more questions that we would ask. We would be getting the name, the address, the time period that they're going to be doing it, what they're going to be doing, what they're offering for sale, where the goods are manufactured or grown, and the nature of their advertising. And then, of course, kind of a background check too. So it's just a lot more thorough regarding people who are going to be going around in people's neighborhoods.
So let me just throw these out. I know this
Sure.
is, some ways I feel like I'm accused or guilty of child abuse here, but, of course, some of these were college kids. They come to town, they were selling magazines for
Mhm.
tuition to wherever.
Right.
And I even contributed to some there sometimes, but you have Boy Scouts, or what's it called, Scouting America now.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's a long tradition there. You could have sports teams and stuff that do this. So I guess my point is that do they need to officially, or with the proper procedure for them to either notify the city that they're going to be doing this before they do it? I'm not trying to create a problem whether one doesn't exist, but that's, are they in this category? Are they somewhere separate?
Well, when
I
you
can't
read
figure
the
it.
first page, the definitions, it doesn't sound like they are to me. It's a business carried on by any person who is an itinerant merchant, peddler, or solicitor as defined in this section. And that is someone who engages in a temporary business within the town, and the furtherance of the business uses any structure, vehicle, or any place within the city. So I don't know,
Nonprofits
Mike,
wouldn't
I just,
consider a business, and that's the key. They're nonprofits, but they are organizations.
Well, me, you know,
And
I think we could make
churches
it
and
as complicated as we wanted to,
No.
but I think with kids, you know, the kids who used to come sell the sausages or whatever.
Right.
I don't see that this, says, you know, that includes children. And I know that, you know, we did get some gripes last summer with the kids who were, whatever they were doing, selling Kool-Aid, and some kid was selling some hot dogs over by on the south side. Anyway, people called and complained about it. We didn't restrict them. We just said, you know, please don't be on the city sidewalk if you're doing it. Please have permission from the business if you're doing it at Albertsons or something. And of course, if you're in your own yard selling your Kool-Aid, I just don't know how persnickety we want to get about this, because I really don't want to infringe on, you know, on somebody's lemonade stand, for instance. But
Well, I
that
wanna
isn't
infringe
what
on
this
it.
sounds
Yeah,
like to
yeah.
me. These are actual, what it sounds like are adults, merchants who are going around trying to sell you a Kirby or something, you know, and that you have the right to have a card on your door that you don't want people knocking on. But
Which could include
How
that.
many people in the eighties that looked at a Kirby?
I know.
Everybody's parents.
I think Leon still got it.
So I really didn't think that this would apply to the Boy Scouts or things like that, but you know, I guess,
Well, I just want to
yeah,
cover it before next summer you get calls, or next, when do the Boy Scouts,
and now,
actually, it's not the Boy Scouts anymore, it's Scouting America. I just read
right,
it, but
right.
because I had Girl Scouts coming this year, but you know, you have dance groups and people that need money for specific things.
It's temporary.
Yeah.
They don't live here. They're not
Right.
generally part of the community. So it's people that are traveling in.
And before I type it up for the first reading, I can certainly get some more legal clarification too, and make sure that, you know, we have all the wording clear so that we know that we're following the rules, but that we're not imposing unreasonable expectations on, you know, the high school kids sell those cards. They come to my door and I buy I don't know what they're for, but a discount card or something. So,
I think they're changing too, but it's all the same,
right.
and they don't fit the definition here, so therefore
So I don't think it
they're in
applies,
that void.
but I will look. I will check before. So if you, I can make the motion to approve the recommended changes, to come to the next council meeting for the first reading. So all in favor of approving the recommended changes to the solicitor's ordinance, say aye. Okay, I'll have a little bit better handle on that next time, I guess, when I bring it forward. The next item, I need a motion to approve the recommended changes to the curfew for minors ordinance. Could I get a motion for that? Okay, Kevin, in a second. Okay, Betsy, we probably want to talk about this now too. Cause it's a lot longer than the other one. And, I think it's before the solicitor's ordinance. So our current code says, you know, that they can't be on the streets, alleys, or public places if they're under the age of 18 after 10 p.m. or before the hour of 5 a.m., except on Fridays or Saturdays. And then they have some more clarification about if they're with a parent or guardian, or if someone has legal custody, or if they're going to work, or it says, unless they have a permit from the mayor or the chief of police. I don't know of any kid that's ever secured one of those, so. Um, this clarifies, public place, what it means to remain, who a parent is, the guardian, an emergency situation, the curfew hours. And on this one, they say that the one sent by the codifers has an 11 PM curfew. We have a 10 PM curfew. They also had a minor is any person under 17 years of age, but I checked with our city attorney about that and it's 18 for Montana. I don't know that we have to have anything this long, but I guess I'm just feeling that I want to cover all the bases. And if they're recommending that we need all this detail, then, there are a lot of lawyers, and so I feel like we should listen to the legal advice. So these are a lot of changes. So again, this would be ordinance that would need a first and second reading because we would be making significant changes to our curfew law and a lot more definition and verbiage just to explain what each section means.
The mayor, so then the committee, they wanted to stay with the 10 o'clock or for the curfew on Sunday through Thursday?
We can if you wish. I have it at 11 o'clock. I mean, it's at 11 o'clock on this one. Our old
Right.
one, the page before, it's 10 o'clock.
Okay, I didn't understand exactly if you were implying that they had mistakenly put 11.
No, this is just what
Not-
they recommend.
Okay, okay. Is there something I thought I read where it talked about, like in the exemptions, I thought one of the exemption was coming home from school activity, church activity, a
It is.
job, of course. It does talk about a job.
It is.
Talks about an errand, Leon used to send Doug to get smokes for him and he sometimes take too long.
It used to be, I would say it's been still few years. I don't know that it's been enforced the last, so I heard about the patrol officers last summer. It's usually in the.
It just seems like we're just clearing up, just to make it.
Really? Yeah, our other one wasn't very specific. This is a lot more specific. It's a little bit longer. Our entire code book is gonna be a little bit longer once we add all the MCA codes and the federal codes and then, changing from a 2-page to a 5-page on a couple of these. But I don't think, I think it is what we need to do. Just to follow what they're recommending.
But what my point on the exemptions was, though, I don't see it on where, I might be missing it somewhere, but what I read here, it doesn't talk about school activity or church activity and those kind of things, where they, maybe they went out of town, they're just getting back. I know I've had kids get home and all kinds of.
Yeah.
This thing over here, this editorial thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't even know if that
So
was
it
part of
says
it.
attending an official school, religious or other
Okay,
recreational activities supervised by adults and sponsored by the city or civic organization.
Or mayor, they
Or
could.
religious activity or, their.
Or mayor, they could, and this maybe Officer Chief Mills would like to hear this one. So when they get pulled over, I always think it'd be a place to start with enforcement. If kids are out, it's where you come over and talk to them, and then you find out maybe there's something else going on. But it says they're exercising their First Amendment rights, so you would have to let them go home because they were just out. I don't know. It says exercising their First Amendment. So
Yes.
That could be, if they knew that, that would be a good way for them. My parents sent me out to speak up.
All right, any other questions about that thing? I will, bring it forward at the next meeting, so all in favor of recommending the recommended changes to the curfew for minors ordinance, say aye. All right, the next item is, can I get a motion for approving the eliminating of the amusement ordinance? Okay, all right, and I'll say Kevin is a second. So all in favor of approving eliminating the amusement ordinance, say aye. Now we've got, motion for accounts payable claims of $63,312.13. Can I get a motion for that? Okay, Betsy, and looks like Jason seconded that, so all in favor of approving the accounts payable claims, say aye. The next item is a motion for the January payroll of $342,502.91. Can I get a motion for that? Okay, Mike and Red. All right, all in favor of approving the January payroll, say aye. Next are the department head comments. I'm gonna guess that John might not have a comment quite yet, but how about you, Katie? Did you have any comments?
Did make it to the report and we moved all of our business. But to make it very clear, we want the council and the community that no way is trying to boost their numbers. We were simply just trying to do full disclosure of what all the officers we do. I work for our community and for the public. If they don't want to see our business text listed, that's an easy fix. I can simply take it out, which we ran it differently this time, so we removed them. We don't want to confuse anyone, but we will continue to do our business checks. If this council or anybody in the public has any questions about anything that we're doing, I am open book. I encourage anybody to bring comments. So with that said, the total without the business checks of our call for service for the month of January is 432. Our total citations were 28, not including any arrest warrants. And our itemized detailed list that was printed out, we posted on the city webpage from now on, so and with the whole federal grant funding being frozen and not frozen, we did get approval that our cybersecurity grant is still approved and we're good to go on that.
Oh, good.
Some small housekeeping with our Dodge Durango has been giving us some sleep. At one point, I believe it was just last week, we were down 2 vehicles with another one having some electrical issues. City shop got them in, took care of us.
Oh, that's nice to hear. No, I do appreciate your transparency, and personally, I thought knowing how many business checks you did was very valid, so I know there were a few gripers in the community, but I think overall, I'm very pleased that you are so forthcoming and that everything is very transparent. So thank you for that. Yeah, I get that. Thank you. All right, the next item is the street committee will meet on February 12th at 4, and the FUPR will meet on February 12th at 4:15. I have no mayor's comments at this time, so we can move for adjournment. All right, we got a first and a second, and that was Jason and Doug. And so all in favor of adjourning, say aye. All right, the meeting is adjourned at 7:54, right on the clock, or 56. Thank you. I'll just take a order.